I React podcast, where we react to everything and anything. I'm Isaac,
And I'm Annie.
and today we're diving deep into a pretty pivotal moment in hip-hop history. I think it's safe to say.
Yeah.
LL Cool J's Mama Said Knock You Out. We've got some interesting sources here. We've got the original lyrics, we've got some album details from Wikipedia, and even some music criticism. So we're going to get the full picture of why this album was such a game changer.
It's interesting you say game changer because LL Cool J's previous album, Walking with a Panther, wasn't received very well commercially. But Mama Said Knock You Out was a complete turnaround. Not only was it a commercial success, it was also praised by critics, which isn't always the case in the hip-hop world.
That's right. It's like he came back swinging, which
Yeah.
makes that title track even more powerful.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, the lyrics we have from Litros.com really paint a picture. LL says, "Don't call it a comeback. I've been here for years."
That line right there sums up the whole album's energy. He's not just back, and he's reclaiming his spot. And the way he uses those boxing metaphors throughout the song is brilliant. He's fighting back against the doubters, the critics, anyone who thought he was done.
Yeah, and he's not pulling any punches. When he says, "I'm going to knock you out," it's more than just a catchy phrase. It's a statement. It's like he's literally stepping into the ring with anyone who dares to underestimate him.
There's a rawness to it, a real sense of urgency and aggression that grabs your attention from the first beat. He even compares himself to Muhammad Ali at one point. It's like he's channeling that legendary fighter spirit.
Oh, absolutely. The whole song is laced with boxing imagery, shadow boxing, Ripper Slay.
Mhm.
It's all very vivid and aggressive. He's really painting a picture with his words.
And that aggression is really what makes it so effective. It captures that feeling of a fighter coming back stronger than ever. Those lines, "How ya like me now, the Ripper will not allow you to get with," are some of the most hard-hitting lyrics in hip-hop.
You can practically feel the energy coming through the speakers. But this album wasn't just about aggression. One name that keeps popping up in the sources is Marley Marl. What is his role in all of this?
Marley Marl was an absolute powerhouse producer in early 90s hip-hop. He was known for his hard-hitting, sample-heavy sound, and he really defined the sound of this album. His influence is undeniable.
So he's kind of like the secret ingredient that gives this album its unique flavor.
Exactly. And if you look at the bigger picture, you start to realize how much producers like Marley Marl shaped the sound of hip-hop. They're like architects building the sonic landscapes for artists to express themselves on.
And it's not just the title track that Marley Marl's influenced on. The Wikipedia track list mentions other key songs like Around the Way Girl and To Do Break of Dawn.
Right, and these tracks are important because they showcase LL Cool J's versatility. Around the Way Girl is a smoother, more romantic track showing his softer side. It was a huge hit and brought in a wider audience.
And To Do Break of Dawn is almost the opposite. It's a straight-up diss track aimed at other rappers, where he really flexes his lyrical skills.
And flex he does. It's considered one of his most complex and intricate rhyme schemes. The wordplay is incredible.
It's interesting how those two songs show completely different sides of LL's persona. He can be tough and aggressive, but also romantic and playful.
And that range is part of what made him such a successful and enduring artist. He wasn't afraid to show different sides of himself. It's fascinating how those different sides of LL, the tough and the tender, come together on this album. It's not just about the hits, but about creating a cohesive artistic statement.
You're right. It's like he's saying, I can be all of these things and I'm going to do it all on my own terms. This album is definitely a statement of artistic independence. But one thing that keeps coming back to me is the production. We talked about Marley Marl's influence, but how did they actually create that sound? The sources don't really dive into the technical details.
That's a great point. Unfortunately, we don't have specific details about the recording process from these sources. But knowing Marley Marl's signature style, we can speculate that he used a lot of sampling drum machines and that classic 90s boom-bap drum pattern. He was known for using the SP1200 sampler to craft those gritty, textured beats that defined 90s hip-hop.
So they were probably digging through crates of old records, looking for the perfect samples to chop up and loop. It's a whole art form in itself.
Absolutely. And that art of sampling played a huge role in shaping the sound of hip-hop in the 80s and 90s. It was like creating something new and fresh from these older musical elements, kind of like a DJ scratching and mixing on turntables, but in the studio.
That's a great analogy. It really highlights the collaborative nature of hip-hop production.
Yeah.
It wasn't just one person. It was a team effort between the artist, the producer, and often other musicians and DJs.
Exactly. And that's where the true magic happens. It's like alchemy, taking these disparate elements and fusing them together to create something entirely new.
This makes me want to go back and listen to the album with a whole new ear, paying attention to those samples and how they weave together. It's almost like a hidden language, a secret code embedded within the music.
I encourage you to do so. You'll start to hear how those samples become more than just background music. They become part of the storytelling, adding layers of meaning and texture to the songs. It's a sonic tapestry woven with threads of history and innovation.
Speaking of layers, we touched on the boxing metaphors earlier, but there's also this underlying sense of social commentary in some of the songs, especially in A Legal Search. It's a raw and powerful track.
That's a key track, and it reflects a growing awareness of police brutality and racial profiling in the Black community at the time. LL Cool J uses his platform to address these issues head-on, which was incredibly powerful and courageous for its time.
There's a line that always sticks with me. They put me up against a wall, said freeze. It's so visceral and immediate. You can feel the tension and injustice of that situation just pouring out of the speakers.
Exactly. And it's not just about the personal experience. It speaks to a broader social issue that was, and unfortunately still is, relevant today. It's a stark reminder that hip hop has always been a voice for the marginalized, speaking truth to power and demanding justice.
So Mama Said Knock You Out wasn't just a comeback album for LL Cool J. It was also a reflection of the times, a snapshot of what was happening in society. It captured a moment in history, a turning point, both for LL and for the culture at large.
That's what makes it so enduring. It's not just about music, it's about history, culture, and the lived experiences of Black Americans in the early 90s. It's a powerful reminder that music can be a tool for social change, a way to raise awareness and spark conversations that need to be had.
It's like this album is a time capsule, preserving a specific moment in time and reflecting the hopes, fears, and struggles of a generation. It's more than just music, it's a cultural artifact.
And a powerful one at that. It speaks to the power of art to reflect, challenge, and inspire. It reminds us that music can be a force for change, a voice for the voiceless, and a testament to the resilience of the human spirit.
It's amazing how this album released back in 1990 still resonates with us today. It's a testament to LL Cool J's artistry, Marley Marl's production genius, and the enduring power of hip-hop as a cultural force.
Absolutely. And what makes it even more fascinating is how Mama Said Knock You Out managed to achieve both commercial success and critical acclaim. The Wikipedia article is full of rave reviews from critics who were blown away by LL's lyrical skills and his ability to connect with audiences on multiple levels.
Yeah, you mentioned the critics, and there's one quote that really stood out to me. One critic called LL Cool J the most articulate of the homeboys. What do you think they meant by that?
I think that speaks to LL's ability to bridge the gap between street credibility and intellectual depth. He had this raw, authentic voice that resonated with the streets, but he also had a way with words, a command of language that elevated his rhymes above the typical braggadocio of the time.
Yeah, another critic praised his sheer relish for words. It's like he wasn't just rapping, he was playing with language, bending it to his will and creating something entirely new.
Exactly. He wasn't afraid to experiment, to push the boundaries of what hip-hop could be. He had this playful energy, this joy in crafting intricate rhyme schemes and using metaphors that surprised and delighted listeners.
So it's safe to say that Mama Said Knock You Out wasn't just a hit album, it was a turning point for LL Cool J and helped shape the sound of 90s hip-hop. It was a comeback story, a display of lyrical mastery, a reflection of the social issues of its time, and a testament to the power of collaboration between artist and producer.
And it reminds us that music can be so much more than just entertainment. It can be a platform for social commentary, a reflection of cultural shifts, and a powerful tool for personal and collective expression.
Well, I think we've successfully unpacked the layers of this iconic album. We've seen how Mama Said Knock You Out was more than just a comeback. It was a cultural moment that continues to resonate today.
It certainly has sparked some fascinating insights and reminded us of the enduring power of hip-hop.
And that's what this deep dive is all about, exploring the hidden depths of things we thought we knew. So the next time you listen to Mama Said Knock You Out, I hope you hear it with fresh ears, appreciating the artistry, the message, and the impact it's had on music and culture.
And who knows, maybe it will inspire you to explore other artists and albums that have shaped the musical landscape we know and love today. There's always more to discover, more connections to make, and more to appreciate.
And as always, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. The podcast sponsor is in the description below, so go and check them out. Thanks.